From the DMZ to the NATO front, this is CRN.
Hello, and welcome to the Kershner Files. Well, hello, and welcome to the Kershner Files. This is episode 10. I'm coming to you from the Augusta Precious Metals Studios. It is the middle of week 143 of the illegitimate, fraudulently elected ding-dong's tyrannical reign. And we have 383 days until the next election. It can't come soon enough. That's just the God's honest truth right there. It can't come soon enough. This is my preparedness show, and so I thought it would be a good idea to discuss a few things. Most of it is tied to the current goings-on, the current events in the Middle East, particularly the Gaza Strip and Israel and Hezbollah in southern Syria and rockets and mortars and so that's all current events. I talked about that a lot in the weekend show for the lightning round. But as I think more and more about this ongoing issue, There are a couple. Well, there's one thing that really jumps out to me, and that is situational awareness, because we've got former Hamas leaders, members, Hamas themselves. Iran is ratcheting up their saber rattling, but what I'm talking about is what they called for on Friday last week, October 13th. They were calling for a day of terror. And, that kind of stuck with me. And, it just day of terror just kept rattling around in my head. And one of the things that comes out when I hear about things like that is, well, first of all, if you see something, say something. But to me, it's not putting yourself in that position to become a victim to begin with. So that's understanding the circumstances in the world today, understanding that we've got a terrorist organization that is actively calling for jihad and a day of terror and, killing all the infidels, especially the Jews and stuff like that. And there weren't any attacks in the U.S. as far as I know. I haven't seen or heard anything about it, and I'm sure the media would blow up if there was one. But there were a few around the world. There was one in Sweden. There was some in France. And the blowback on that is a lot of the government members of parliament in some of these Western European countries. They're all now realizing their mistake with the open borders policies that George Soros and his ilk push through these various government entities and these various Western European nations. And there's a bill on the floor of the House which would strictly prohibit taking in Palestinian refugees. But to me, it's situational awareness and understanding, hey, look, I live, 5-6 miles from the center of the 14th largest city in the country in Columbus, Ohio. I live just, 2 miles from one of the largest student body universities in the country, in Ohio State University. Central Ohio is home to a lot of immigrants. most of which are in the IT field, and most of them are Indian. We have a lot of Latin American representation, and most of them are in blue-collar trades, whether that's landscaping, roofing, brickwork, concrete work, things like that. And so Columbus is very much a melting pot, and the only time I've ever not felt safe in Columbus was during the Summer of Love in 2020, when they tried to burn the state capitol to the ground because of George Floyd. And there was another incident or two here in Columbus as well. They pepper sprayed and hauled off a city council member who was shouting at and spitting in the faces of cops during all of the peaceful protesting. And they found, I think it was a school bus or a U-Haul, I can't remember which, that Antifa had driven into town, and it was full of Kevlar helmets and chest plates and shields and clubs and swords and all this crazy stuff. That was the only time I ever felt I wasn't genuinely feeling unsafe, but it was the first time that I remember ever feeling like, nope, I'm not leaving and going anywhere near that chaos that's downtown. And that's what I'm talking about with situational awareness, is understanding what's going on around you and making good, high-quality decisions so that you stay out of the fray. You don't go looking for trouble. Am I prepared if trouble comes to my front door? Yes. Am I going to go out and actively seek and court trouble? No. That is not my role as a husband and father. My role is the protection of my family, as it should be for you too as well. That's not me saying I'm a wuss or I'm chicken. I have a mean, angry streak, just like any testosterone-filled grown man. I will do whatever I need to do to protect my family. But that does not mean I'm going to go looking for trouble and jeopardize my family. Those are two wholly different things. So for me, the current events that I'm about to run through I want to use as a means to kind of help set the stage for your situational awareness. So the first thing that I've got is an article. They're from all kinds of different sources. This one happens to be Fox News. I've got one from Just the News. I've got American Action News, another Fox News, Blaze TV, and a third one from Fox News. So it depends on where I'm getting stuff. But my point is, I spoke on Saturday about how every single one of these events and the issues that we're having can all be traced back to one man, and that's the illegitimate, fraudulently elected ding-dong, that half-baked potato occupying the White House. So the first article is titled, U.S. Customs Confirms Fourth Iranian, quote, special interest alien apprehended this month in Eagle Pass, Texas. CPB's agents see increase in special interest aliens crossing into the U.S. at the southern border. Customs and Border Protection says 4 Iranians have been apprehended in Texas since the beginning of the month, adding that they are considered special interest aliens. They told Fox News that one Iranian man in his 40s was taken into custody on Sunday morning in Eagle Pass after crossing the southern border at 3 a.m. The source added that the Iranian gave himself up to Border Protection agents after making the illegal crossing. The man, along with 3 other Iranians, are considered special interest aliens because they are from countries identified by the U.S. government as having conditions that promote or protect terrorism or potentially pose some sort of national security threat to the United States. Special interest aliens also undergo additional vetting and questioning after being apprehended. Last week, Border Patrol agents apprehended 2 Lebanese nationals at Eagle Pass who were also considered special interest. Those are just the 6 that they caught this month. That border has basically been open for the last 3 years. And we have now surpassed almost, I think the number I saw was 4 or 5 million illegal immigrants have entered the country since the potato took office in January of 2021. So they caught an Egyptian man in the Rio Grande Valley sector. Also, they've also apprehended 19 Iranians and 17 Syrians since Monday in that Rio Grande Valley area. The situational awareness that I'm talking about is understanding that we have foreign nationals entering our country illegally, and in almost every circumstance, in every video that I've seen about these mass influx of illegal immigrants, these are young military age men. There are no women with them. No wives, no grandmothers, no sisters, no children, nothing. These are young military age men crossing our border illegally from all over the world, and a lot of the countries that these guys are coming from. I question how they got the money to get there. How'd they get to Mexico from Syria and Lebanon and Iran and Egypt? How are they getting there? I would love to see and talk to and find out what their journey looked like. What were their waypoints? How did they get from, say, Tehran to Monterrey, Mexico? How did they get there? Were they stowing away on ships? Did they get flown part of the way? Were they driven? How did they get here? I want to know what that journey looks like. And then, so we've got the open, porous border that is letting in potential terrorists. So there's part one of your situational awareness. Then we've got an FBI director who is warning about increased terror threats, potential copycat attacks on U.S. after the Hamas invasion. Director Ray is quoted as saying, "We've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own." And so we got the open border. We got people coming in, part one. Part two, people are already here. They possibly are here on student visas. They could be on a visitation visa. They're here to visit their families or things like that. Or they crossed illegally and they're already here. They're maybe they're a silent cell, maybe they're a lone wolf, but living 5-6 miles from the 14th largest city. Are there better, prettier targets than Columbus, Ohio? Yeah. The Sears Tower. Let's see, Transamerica out there on the West Coast. You've got LA. I mean, we'll go kill a couple of movie stars. You could go to DC and try your luck on that, but there's 20,000 cameras in DC. New York is always popular. Boston, these major metroplexes, these cities that have untold millions of people crammed into very tight situations. It's one of the reasons why the Boston Marathon bombers did what they did where they did, because it was a huge mass crowd of people. So would I go to a concert in this climate right now? No, I'm not interested in going where there's going to be potentially large groups of people. Do I get on a plane? We had a bunch of guys that swiped several planes, flew them into buildings. I honestly, I think I might feel safer on a plane than I would going to a major sporting event or to a major concert event. I think that trying to get something onto a plane nowadays is going to be incredibly, incredibly tough. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I don't know. I would try and avoid both of those things, because again, I'm a father and a husband, and my role is to protect my family. putting myself in potential situations where I could be in harm's way is not helping. So we've got potential copycats. What did Director Wray say? So FBI Director Christopher Wray is warning after the brutal Hamas terrorist attack on Israel that there is an increase in reported threats to the United States and there is a possibility of copycat attacks. In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own. So I encourage you to stay vigilant, because as the first line of defense in protecting our communities, you're often the first to see the signs that someone may be mobilizing to violence. And I'd also ask you to continue sharing any intelligence or observations you may have. That's the director of the FBI, who is no friend to preppers and to the right in general. So, to have a lefty come out and say something like this, maybe there's some credence to it. But it could also be the left fomenting fear to give people the impression that they're keeping everybody safe and it's all about the votes. You make up your own mind. You tell me. And then I've got 2 articles here to tell you how serious this situation is. So step 1, we've got the open border. They're catching people from all these Middle Eastern countries. Step 2, people are already here and they're picking up chatter that there may be copycats and lone wolves and sleeper cells and things like that. Step 3, the United States has now basically told the military that certain I don't know if it's battalions or what size they're talking about, but the U.S. Department of Defense has issued a be ready to deploy order over the weekend in response to the Israel-Hamas war. And this article says that U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin put a significant number of U.S. troops on standby to, quote, be ready to deploy over the weekend. So he's basically, I don't know if that's a DEFCON change or not, but a U.S. official confirmed that Austin issued orders to troops that they should be ready to be deployed to the eastern Mediterranean within 24 hours of receiving an order. Specifically, top officials say troops would be sent to advise and provide medical support to Israeli forces. The order is less of a deterrence posture like what we have seen with the mobilization of the USS Ford and USS Eisenhower strike groups in the Mediterranean, but instead appears to be more of a direct support role for defense of Israel if needed.
If you're like me, you've wanted to buy gold for years. Lots of commercials out there, but who can you really trust? I didn't want a bad investment, but I didn't want to miss the boat either. Sound familiar? Fortunately, I've got great news. If you have an IRA or 401k and want to buy physical gold, eliminate fear and uncertainty from the process using the new Gold IRA Company Integrity Checklist. It helps you evaluate and choose the best gold IRA company. I used it to personally vet Augusta Precious Metals, and they're absolutely phenomenal. Use this checklist to choose the best gold IRA company. To get your free Gold IRA Company Integrity Checklist today, text CONTRA to 68592. Again, text CONTRA to 68592. That's CONTRA to 68592. Or go to AugustaPreciousMetals.com. Have you or someone you know ever had a hard drive crash? Or maybe your cell phone or tablet died, taking all of your pictures with it. You've thought about backing up your data, but all of the plans out there cost too much money for just a little bit of storage space. Well, now there's a solution. Got Backup? That's right, Got Backup will allow you to back up unlimited devices, up to 6 terabytes of data for only $9.97 a month. And that's not all. You can earn commissions by referring friends and family too. Got Backup is the only data storage center that allows you to earn income on your referrals. Check out Got Backup now. Log on to john-jeffers.com. That's john-jeffers.com. Log on now.
And in another article, I found on American Action News, it was titled Rapid Response Force of 2,000 U.S. Marines Headed Toward Israel. And it says a rapid response force consisting of 2,000 Marines is heading toward the waters off of Israel, according to CNN. The 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, a force of rapid response troops part of the Bataan Amphibious Ready Group, was stationed near Kuwait to complete scheduled exercises, but departed early due to ongoing events in the region, Marine Corps Times first reported. The 26th Marine Expedition Unit aboard the USS Bataan is now off the coast of Oman and received direction to prepare for a move toward Israel recently. The U.S. has rapidly moved to crowd the Israeli coastline with U.S. naval power since the Iran-backed Hamas terrorist organization launched a surprise attack on Israel. Tel Aviv declared war on Hamas in response. So that's kind of part 3. So we've got the open border. We got terrorists already in the country. We've got the Department of Defense basically moving troops and personnel to the region, telling other troops that are still here in the U.S. be ready to deploy within 24 hours of receiving orders. And I'm looking at this, and then to top it all off, the potato is going to go visit Israel today, Wednesday. So, not sure why the White House would announce where the president is going this far in advance. You would think that somebody's going to try and shoot that plane down. Why would anybody put the president in the middle of that? Unless they were trying to get him killed. I don't understand it. But the whole point of all of this is dealing with situational awareness. And it's not just the situational awareness of where you are and what you can see, whether that's you're going to a crowded mall, a sporting event, a concert, getting on a plane, things like that. I'm not talking about that, but that plays a role in it. But you also have to understand the world around you and what's going on. So if you didn't know about the Summer of Love and all of the peaceful protesting that took place with BLM and Antifa during the summer of 2020, if I hadn't known what was going on and I decided to take my family to dinner in downtown Columbus before our oldest daughter left for college, we would have walked right into a riot. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to situational awareness. It's more than just your immediate surroundings. It's all of what's going on in your neighborhood, your suburb, your city, your state. Is it safe for me to move around and run errands? How safe do I feel going to a movie theater? Things like that. And in my book, Preparing to Prepare, there's 2 key sections here that I wanted to draw your attention to. One is kind of the opening pages of chapter 2, where I'm talking about people getting in the right mindset of a minor, a moderate, or a major disruption. And there are several questions that I ask the reader to answer, and they are, and some of these don't apply to this particular conversation regarding situational awareness, but there are 9 questions. And do you know what natural disasters are prevalent in your area? Do you know if there are any workplace emergency plans in place? What are the school emergency plans for your kids? What are your community's evacuation routes? Where are your important documents and information located? What is your current family emergency plan, including communication, meeting location, and contact cards? What is the present condition of all of your emergency kits, be it for your home, car, or evacuation? When was the last time your family sat down and discussed preparedness and emergency responses? What is the blood type of each member of your family? And I go into all of this, and part of this, I didn't call it out as such in the book because it was all about, understanding the threats that are around you and knowing, hey, I'm going to need a marriage certificate, or I'm going to need my divorce decree. I'm going to need the blood type for my kids. I'm going to need my kids' social security cards. I'm going to need proof of insurance for my vehicle or the deed to my house and things like that if you do have to evacuate. But there are things in here that are applicable to situational awareness and being prepared for certain eventualities, like if there's an active shooter situation at my wife's high school or at either of my daughter's college campuses. Do they know where to meet me if they need to evacuate? I mean, the school's going to tell them shelter in place. I know that they're going to do that. And it's just, sometimes that advice is not good. And so do my daughters know Dad's on his way and meet me here at, X time? Technology has helped with that because I can track their location. Assuming they didn't lose their phone or their iPad or their laptop, I can track their location for every single one of those devices. So I don't necessarily need to always be in contact with them, because what I would not want to do is give away their position by sending them a text if they haven't silenced their phone. And that could end with them getting shot. And I don't think I could ever forgive myself for that. But what I'm writing about here in the book is do you have plans of action for certain eventualities? And this is basically pre-planning situational awareness. So emergencies at my wife's school, emergencies with my employer or at my client's site or at my daughter's schools. What are the evacuation routes if there's a nuclear plant meltdown, or there's a hurricane, or there's massive floods, whatever, where are the rivers located, that kind of stuff. That goes to situational awareness, not just present, present day, the present minute, the present hour. This is talking about situational awareness across the spectrum and seeing the things that are going on in the world. I'm not doing a Chicken Little. I'm not saying the sky is falling. What I'm saying is it is your duty to protect your family, whether that's the father or the mother, or maybe you're single and you have older parents or you have younger siblings. If you're considered, and this is going to sound sexist, but the man of the house, or if there are no men, if you're just the person in charge. So preparedness is more than just, when it comes to situational awareness, it's more than just what you can see and hear and feel in that given moment. It's about planning ahead for the things that you can't see, that you can't predict. We've got open borders. We've got potentially terrorist cells already in the country. We've got the Department of Defense telling us that, we've got be ready to mobilize orders. We've already got 2,000 Marines headed that way. We've got 2 aircraft carriers headed that way. Those are all ancillary to the things that the FBI director is saying, and ancillary to what the Customs and Border Patrol folks are saying in terms of who they're picking up, where they're picking them up, where they came from. And so all of this is all dealing with situational awareness and just being aware of your surroundings, but taking into account current events is kind of the whole point of this week's show. I think I have beaten that horse enough, but there was one other place. And it was further on in chapter, I don't remember what chapter it is, but it was dealing with location and security, and it was talking about moderate disruptions. And a moderate disruption to me, by my definition in the book, was anything lasting from a week to a month. And it's on page 79 of the book, and it was all about location and security. And the security element that I wrote about, while it was not specific to situational awareness, it was basically telling you need to understand the makeup and topography of your property, and know that, hey, look, if something goes awry in Columbus, for me, I know that I live on a postage stamp size piece of property. I'm surrounded by other houses. I know the voting histories of just about everybody on my street. I know who I can put my faith in and who I can't. I know who I can trust and who I can't. And if something happens in downtown Columbus that happens to move my way, I can go 2 places. I can literally evacuate my house in 15 minutes or less. I now have a big old Chevy Silverado, a full-size crew cab, and I have a little 8x4 trailer that I can hook up to it, and I can evacuate this house inside of 15 minutes. Take everything that we're going to need, and I can either go north to a friend of mine who lives out in the country, or I can go south and do an end around the south side of the city to another friend who lives out in the country. So, and I have room in the truck and in my wife's vehicle. We could actually load up her mother and stepfather and grab her stepmother and stepsister on the way out of town, and we could be a merry band of 5 headed to one of those 2 locations. It's all a matter of planning and understanding kind of where you are and what your surroundings are. It's more, like I said, it's more than what you can see and hear and feel. It's about not putting yourself in those kinds of situations where, if I want to go to a Columbus Crew soccer game, that's a large group of people all gathered in one place. Over 20,000 people are there, and I can't bring my concealed carry because I'm going to go through 2 or 3 rounds, 2 or 3 metal detectors and wands and the whole gambit. So there's nothing to stop a terrorist from blowing through all that security, wasting all of those security guards, walking right through every single one of their little security measures, and then going into a mezzanine level and just opening fire. Do I put myself in that situation? I should think not. Would I want my family going to that? I would think not. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about with situational awareness in today's age, with what's going on in current events and what is being told to us by the people that are supposedly supposed to be protecting us at the border and within the border. So, do I like what I'm hearing? No. We've got people from all kinds of these odd places, Egypt and Iran and Syria, and they want us to possibly take in Palestinian refugees. No, and no. So that's today's show. That's what I wanted to talk about. There are a few other things, but I'm trying to make it a concerted effort to keep the shows to half an hour or so. But that's the show. It's all about situational awareness and understanding it's more than the immediate. You have to have no blinders on, and you need to be paying attention to the world around you as well. So, all right, that's it for me. That's episode 10 of the Kershner Files. We'll be back this weekend with the lightning round, and we'll talk about some. I don't want to keep dedicating all the shows to Israel, but that is first and foremost on my mind, and what's in the news. Actually, Zelensky over in Ukraine's upset because the Israeli-Hamas war has supplanted Ukraine, Russia, and he started complaining. So what did the potato do? He shipped him to another $200 million, so he'll be quiet. So that's great. Go team. All right, be good, stay safe, keep your head on a swivel. Seriously, keep your head on a swivel. I'm out.
Happy Hunger Games! And may the odds be ever in your favor.